What's up, Dub Nation? Hold up, before you even think about scrolling past this video, I need to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. The Warriors just scheduled a private workout with a college point guard whose brother is already dominating NBA playoffs. And that's just the beginning of what we're about to uncover. But wait, there's more. We've got intel on a 6'9" sharpshooter who's averaging nearly 15 points while draining 40% from three, and he might be available this summer. Oh, and that blockbuster trade rumor involving a certain Greek superstar? Yeah, we're diving deep into why it's not as crazy as you think. I'm talking about 3 potential moves that could either secure another championship or completely change the trajectory of this franchise. Which one do you think is most likely to happen? Smash that like button and let's get into it. Dub Nation, this is going to be wild. Let's start with something that's got me genuinely excited. The Warriors' interest in Ryan Nembhard. Now, before you start scratching your heads asking, who's this kid? Let me paint you a picture of why Golden State's front office has their eyes locked on this 22-year-old point guard. Ryan Nembhard just wrapped up an absolutely stellar season at Gonzaga. And when I say stellar, I mean the kind of numbers that make NBA scouts wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about playmaking potential. We're talking about a guy who averaged 10.5 points and 9.8 assists per game. Nearly a double-double in assists, people. But here's what really catches your attention. He shot 44.6% from the field, and a smooth 40% from beyond the arc. Those aren't just good college numbers. Those are NBA-ready percentages. According to Dalton Johnson from NBC Sports Bay Area, the Warriors are planning to bring Nembhard in for a workout before the 2025 NBA Draft. Now, you know how selective Golden State is with their workouts. They don't waste time on players they don't see fitting their system. This tells us everything we need to know about how seriously they're considering this young man. What makes Nembhard special isn't just his stat sheet, though those numbers speak volumes. It's his basketball IQ, his court vision, and most importantly, his ability to control tempo. Sound familiar? That's exactly what you want in a point guard who might need to share the floor with Stephen Curry, or step in when the baby-faced assassin needs a breather. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ryan isn't just some random college player trying to make it in the league. His brother Andrew Nembhard is currently tearing it up with the Indiana Pacers, and during the 2024 playoffs, Andrew averaged 21 points and 7.8 assists in the Eastern Conference Finals. That kind of playoff pedigree doesn't just happen by accident. It runs in the family. The Warriors have been searching for that reliable backup point guard, especially after some inconsistent play from Brandon Podziemski throughout the season. Don't get me wrong, Podziemski has shown flashes of brilliance, but the Warriors need someone who can step in seamlessly and keep the offense humming when Curry's on the bench. Nembhard's defensive capabilities are another piece of this puzzle that shouldn't be overlooked. At 6'1", he's not the biggest guard out there, but he averaged 1.7 steals per game at Gonzaga, showing active hands and smart positioning. In Steve Kerr's system, where switching and help defense are crucial, having a guard who can disrupt passing lanes and create transition opportunities is invaluable. The beauty of potentially adding Nembhard to this roster is how well his skill set would complement the Warriors' style of play. He's not looking to be the primary scorer. He's looking to make everyone around him better. When you have shooters like Curry, Klay Thompson, and potentially others spreading the floor, having a point guard who can find the open man and hit the occasional three himself is exactly what championship teams are built on. What's got me really thinking is the timing of this workout. The Warriors aren't just kicking tires here. They're doing their homework on a player who could contribute immediately. In today's NBA, finding a rookie who can step in and play meaningful minutes for a contending team is rare, but Nembhard's college experience and mature playing style suggest he might be one of those special cases. Strength in numbers, right? That's always been the Warriors' motto, and adding a player like Nembhard would be another example of finding the right pieces that fit together perfectly, rather than just chasing big names. Now let's shift gears and talk about someone who could solve one of the Warriors' most persistent challenges: front court depth. Naz Reid from the Minnesota Timberwolves has emerged as a legitimate target for Golden State. And honestly, this move makes so much sense it's almost scary. Reid is having a breakout season, averaging 14.8 points and 6.2 rebounds while shooting an impressive 38.9% from three-point range. But here's what those numbers don't tell you. This guy is exactly the type of modern big man that the Warriors have been searching for. At 6'9", he's got the size to bang in the paint, but more importantly, he's got the skill set to step out and stretch the floor. Think about what the Warriors have been missing in recent years. They've had traditional centers who could protect the rim but couldn't shoot, and they've had smaller lineups that could score but got bullied inside. Reid represents that perfect middle ground, a player who can do both effectively. What makes Reid particularly intriguing for Golden State is his offensive versatility. He's not just a catch-and-shoot big man. He can put the ball on the floor, create his own shot, and even facilitate for teammates when needed. In Steve Kerr's motion offense, having a big who can handle the ball and make decisions opens up so many possibilities for the Warriors' already dynamic attack. The financial aspect of this potential acquisition is fascinating too. Reid has a $15 million player option for the 2025-26 season, and there's growing speculation that he might opt out to test free agency. For the Warriors, this creates an opportunity to potentially sign him without giving up significant assets in a trade. But let's be real about what Reid would bring defensively. He's not going to anchor your defense like a Draymond Green in his prime, but he's solid, smart, and versatile enough to fit into different schemes. The Warriors have always been about team defense, rather than relying on one dominant rim protector, and Reid's ability to switch onto smaller players while still providing interior presence fits that philosophy perfectly. The connection between Reid and the Warriors goes deeper than just basketball fit, though. Golden State has been linked to Jimmy Butler trade rumors, and while that's a separate conversation entirely, it shows the organization's willingness to make bold moves to improve their championship odds. Reid represents a more realistic but equally impactful addition to the roster. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough: Reid's playoff experience. He's been through the grind with Minnesota, including their deep playoff runs, and he's shown he can perform when the lights are brightest. For a Warriors team that's built around championship aspirations, having players who've proven themselves in high-pressure situations is crucial. The beauty of potentially adding Reid is how he'd fit alongside the Warriors' existing core. Imagine lineups where you have Curry handling the ball, shooters like Klay spacing the floor, and Reid providing that inside-outside threat from the big man position. It's the kind of balanced attack that's given opponents nightmares throughout Golden State's championship runs. From Minnesota's perspective, losing Reid would be a significant blow, but they're facing their own financial constraints and roster decisions. The Timberwolves have already invested heavily in their core, and Reid's emergence as a legitimate scoring threat means he's going to command serious money in free agency. What's particularly exciting about this potential move is the timeline. Reid is 25 years old, right in his prime, and he'd be joining a Warriors core that still has championship-level talent. This isn't about rebuilding or looking toward the future. This is about maximizing the remaining window with Curry and the championship-tested veterans. The Warriors have always been smart about identifying players who fit their system rather than just chasing the biggest names available. Reid represents exactly that kind of strategic thinking, a player whose skills complement what they already do well while addressing their weaknesses. As we head into the offseason, keep your eyes on this situation because it could be one of those moves that looks obvious in hindsight, but requires vision to execute in the moment. All right, Dub Nation, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the Greek freak in the room. The rumors connecting Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Golden State Warriors have been swirling like a Bay Area fog, and while this might seem like pure fantasy, There are some legitimate reasons why this conversation keeps coming up. First, let's establish the facts. Giannis hasn't requested a trade from Milwaukee, and the Bucks haven't given any indication they're looking to move. Their franchise cornerstone, but here's where it gets interesting. After Milwaukee's disappointing playoff exit, and with Damian Lillard dealing with injury concerns, there are whispers that Giannis might be evaluating his options for the future. Joe Lacob, the Warriors' owner, has never been shy about his championship ambitions, and sources have indicated that bringing Giannis to Golden State has been something of a dream scenario for the organization. When you think about it, can you imagine a more devastating combination than Stephen Curry's shooting and playmaking alongside Giannis's athleticism and versatility? Here's a connection that people aren't talking about enough. Both Giannis and Curry are represented by the same agency, Octagon. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything, but in the NBA, these relationships matter. Agents talk, players talk, and sometimes those conversations plant seeds that grow into something bigger. But let's be realistic about the challenges here. Any trade for Giannis would require the Warriors to gut significant portions of their roster. We're talking about a package that would likely include young players, veteran contributors, and multiple first-round picks. The question becomes, is it worth dismantling your depth to add one superstar, even if that superstar is arguably a top 5 player in the league? The financial implications are staggering too. Giannis is making over $45 million per season, and the Warriors are already dealing with luxury tax implications. Adding his salary would push them into uncharted territory in terms of payroll, but for an owner like Lacob who's proven he's willing to spend for championships, that might not be the deterrent you'd expect. What makes this scenario particularly intriguing is how Giannis would fit into the Warriors' system. He's not just a dominant scorer, he's an elite playmaker who could take pressure off Curry in the half-court while providing the kind of transition offense that the Warriors have built their identity around. Imagine fast breaks with Curry pushing the pace and Giannis running the floor. That's nightmare fuel for opposing defenses. The defensive impact can't be overstated either. While the Warriors have maintained solid team defense, adding someone with Giannis's rim protection and versatility would transform them into an elite defensive unit overnight. He can guard multiple positions, protect the paint, and create turnovers. That fuel the Warriors' offense. But here's where reality sets in. The Warriors aren't the only team interested. Reports have linked the Toronto Raptors to Giannis as well, with suggestions of mutual interest between the player and organization. The competition for his services, if he ever becomes available, would be fierce and expensive. There's also the question of timing. Curry is 37 years old, still playing at an elite level but clearly in the latter stages of his career. If the Warriors are going to make a move this significant, it needs to happen soon to maximize the overlap between these two superstars. From Milwaukee's perspective, trading Giannis would signal a complete rebuild, something they've shown no appetite for. They've invested heavily in surrounding him with talent, and despite their recent playoff disappointments, they still believe they can contend with their current core. The most realistic scenario might involve waiting to see how Milwaukee performs next season. If they struggle again, if Lillard's health becomes a persistent issue, or if Giannis himself starts expressing frustration, then this conversation becomes much more serious. What's fascinating about this possibility is how it would reshape the entire Western Conference. A Warriors team with Curry and Giannis would immediately become the favorites to win it all, but it would also create a domino effect throughout the league as other teams scramble to match that level of talent. For now, this remains in the realm of speculation and wishful thinking. But in the NBA, things can change quickly. The Warriors have shown they're not afraid to make bold moves when the opportunity presents itself, and Giannis represents the kind of generational talent that could extend their championship window significantly. There you have it, Dub Nation. 3 potential game changers that could completely reshape the Warriors' future. from Ryan Nembhard's promising college production to Naz Reid's versatile skill set, and yes, even the long-shot dream of landing. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Golden State is clearly exploring every avenue to maximize their championship window. What's your take on these potential moves? Are you most excited about developing young talent like Nembhard, adding proven contributors like Reid, or swinging for the fences with a superstar trade? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear which direction you think the Warriors should go. And here's my question for you. If you could only choose one of these three options, which would it be and why? The young point guard with upside, the versatile big man who fits perfectly, or the superstar who could change everything? Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we'll be tracking all these stories as they develop. Until next time, let's go Warriors, strength in numbers.